On a Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wait. We gotta do a Pixar theme one. You've got a show in me. You got a show in me. This right here, by the way, I'm already getting distracted. I woke up yesterday and I think I must have had like a pimple or something there. And then when I woke up, there's like I scratched something off. So I don't know what it is. So ignore that. It's like a bullseye. Hello. How's everybody doing? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Now people are going to start asking about it during the show. And I'm like, I already talked about that when there was 0 viewers on. And people are going to be very confused, especially the people who are coming on right now who are probably like, I don't even know what he's talking about. But I like it. I don't know. Hello, everyone. We are coming to you live from my condo. Oh. Today, we're going to be going through and talking about the Springtime Surprise Weekend to Pixar and Beyond 2023 Walt Disney World. Run Disney. So it's going to be, hopefully, it's going to be a fun show. Hey, Cheryl. So, yeah, make sure you join us. Have some fun. Invite a friend or two or 17. And we're going to get this started in just a minute here. We'll just let people come on for a minute. We'll give people a second to mosey on over here. Yeah, today we're going to be going through, we're going to be talking about this past weekend's Springtime Surprise Weekend to Pixar and Beyond. Actually, I don't even know if that is the official title. Holy cow, is it on everything? Is it on to Pixar and Beyond? Is it on the bib? It's not on the bib, though. We're going to go through all this in just a few minutes here. We're going to be talking about the merchandise and all that other fun stuff. Okay, I think, does anyone have any connection issues? It's popping up. My thing right up here shows the number of people, and it's popping up to like 17, and then it's 1, and then 17, then 2, then 17, then 3. So hopefully... Hopefully the chat room's kind of working. If it's not working, feel free to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. I'll keep those open too, and I'll answer questions as we go through here. So if anyone is having any issues with anything at all, I know some people have been having issues with the chat the last few weeks. So yeah, if you're having issues, let me know, or just send me a message on Instagram, Facebook. And if you have a question about anything, I will go through and answer your questions through there as well. I've got my phone right down here to kind of keep an eye on as well here. And I've already got messages from people saying they cannot. Is it not letting you watch, or is it not letting you talk, or is it not letting you both? I don't understand why this is not going through. Hey, howdy ho. Let's see here. We're gonna try something here before we actually start getting into the topic. What blows my mind, like what I get so confused by for this, is the fact that there's a lot of people who can talk with no problems every single week, and then there's some people who just, for some reason, it's not letting them talk at all. And I'm not sure why. I don't know why. Because I'm popping on the thing here. Who can comment on your posts? Everyone. So I don't know why it's not letting me. I don't know. So if you are having issues and you can hear the comments, let me put down. Is it not letting either? Well, it's the people who are on Facebook. I keep on getting messages from people on Facebook that are having issues. YouTube, not as many, but Facebook I've been having a lot of issues on. The majority of complaints I've been getting lately has been the Facebook broadcasting. With YouTube still having some issues, but not nearly as many. Because right now, if we look at our breakdown of people who are watching, the majority of the people, there's 7 people who are watching on on YouTube and only have 3 that are watching on Facebook right now. So I'm not sure what's going on exactly. But let's get this party started. If you guys have any questions while we go through here, throw your messages into the comments below, or send me a message, a private message, and I will go through and answer your questions as well. So let's get this party started. We're going to start the 713th episode of the Wednesday Show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 713th episode of the Wednesday Show. Today is April 19th, 2023, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be going through and doing a recap of this past weekend's springtime surprise weekend for Run Disney. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. Thank you, everyone who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you don't already know, every single Saturday, right over on my YouTube channel, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. This past Saturday, I honestly forgot that it was Saturday because of the race weekend. I completely forgot. And then it's Saturday, I was leaving. We went to Whispering Canyon that night. And while I was leaving, I got a message from my mom who said, "Are you not doing your Saturday in the Park today?" So if you guys remind me earlier in the day, I will be more than happy to go through and do a broadcast if I forget it, because I will forget. I'm a forgetful person when it comes to sometimes, and sometimes I don't remember the dates, and I don't remember that Saturday. So if you've noticed that I have not done it yet and it's past 1 o'clock, send me a message, and I'll then be like, "Oh, thanks for the reminder," and then we'll go do a broadcast. Also, thank you everyone who's been joining us for that. Also, thank you everyone out there who I did meet this past week. During the springtime surprise weekend, and actually afterwards too. It's been a very active week of meeting you guys out there. So thank you everyone out there who stopped to say hello this week. I've had a great time meeting a lot of you. It really does mean a lot to me every time that we get to interact out in the world. So thank you so much. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by It's all about the mouse travel jazz hands. Make sure you stop by. It's allaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All their services are absolutely positively 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. Okay. Hey, Matt, how you doing? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through and doing a recap of this past weekend's springtime surprise weekend. Here, you know what we're going to do is we're also going to just throw in there again. We're going to throw this out to the people on this platform. I'm having a lot of people who, for some reason, cannot chat on either Facebook or YouTube once again. Any suggestions? I'm not sure what's going on, but lately Facebook has been really driving me crazy with everything. Facebook's really been absolutely driving me up a wall. I don't know what's been going on with it, but so if you are one of my Patreon pals, then the Patreon pals, we have a group where people go through. Louie, it's Louie again. Hi, Louie. You helped me last week. But for some reason on Facebook with our Patreon pal group, people will go through and they'll actually select my Instagram picture every single day. They go through and vote. And people on Facebook have not been getting the notifications, and they've actually not even been able to get into the group. So I'm not sure what's going on or why nothing's working right now. But I'm glad that some of you guys are having problems. But now, even now when I'm saying this, I don't see anyone chatting at all. So now I'm kind of thinking that we might have lost the entire chat. Did we lose the chat? Is anyone out there? Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on here. Help me, Louie. You're my only hope. here, I'm going to put down, can you end a screenshot of the comments from within the StreamYard studio, then comments from both destinations? People are saying they aren't even having the opportunity to comment on Facebook or YouTube at all. Not sure why, but if I broadcast from them individually, then they can. Okay, so anyways, so this past weekend was our springtime surprise weekend, the 2023 springtime surprise weekend. During the Walt Disney World Resort, I'm looking at one of my things to merchandise, and I think some people are going to be like, "You bought that," and other people are going to be like, "You bought that." Like, I think a lot of people. Okay, but yes. 1 minute, Louis. Okay, so Louis is sending us on a private mission now. So he wants us to go through and so hopefully this is going to work. Okay. Hopefully this is going to work. We got screenshot, and then we're going to go here to, he wants me to send him screenshots of all 3 chat rooms and figure out why it's not working. So we're gonna do what Louis tells us to do, and then we're gonna go through and maybe, hopefully. Oh. Okay. Oh no, the whole thing just froze. No. Ah. Are you guys still there? Maybe. Okay, Louis, we're oh, this is ridiculous, Louis. Okay, I don't even know where those screenshots would be saved to. I never take screenshots. Oh, there we go. Screenshots. Haha. It didn't. What? Oh my gosh. Louis, you're killing me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're trying to figure this out. Okay. Let's close this because we don't need that right now. No, I said we don't need you right now. I apologize, but we don't. Okay, so how do I'm clearly not printing the screen the right way. Control, no. I apologize, guys. This is getting ridiculous. Okay. Let me. How come it's not letting me take a screenshot? Okay, so we're doing this screenshot right now. Maybe. No, it's not letting me screenshot. Okay, Louis, I apologize, but right now we got to go on with the show. Okay, I'll try again, Louis, after we finish the broadcast. Because right now we just want to do the broadcast. I don't want to have everyone sitting here watching us talk to Louis again. No offense, Louis. We love you. You're like, ugh. Okay, so let's talk about the springtime surprise weekend. Okay, so for those of you guys who have never joined us here for one of our Run Disney Race Run Disney Race Weekend recaps. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through and doing a recap of exactly what happened throughout this past weekend. So let's start us off with the Expo. So first off, for those of you guys who have never done a Run Disney race, and actually let me know out there if you have been in a Run Disney race before. But if you guys have never joined us for one of the Run Disney race weekends, you first go over to the corral, and when you get to the corral, or not to the corral, when you go to the Expo, and when you get to the Expo, you get a few different things. One, you get your bib. Aww. So here's my bib for the Springtime Surprise Challenge 2023. So this is my bib number 21274. And then at the very top here is my corral. So my corral, all 3 races this weekend, was Corral B, as in Brent. So you go to your corral at the start of all 3 races. Now, usually during different challenges, and do I have a race bib near me? I think they're all in my room. But sometimes I just happen to have one like kind of floating around. But usually for the challenges, what you get is usually get 2 different corrals. You'll get an A corral and a B corral. But for the Springtime Surprise, since you're using the same bib for all 3 races, usually they only give you 1. Usually the challenges are 2 days instead of 3 days. Or if you're doing the Dopey Challenge, then it is 4 days, but then you actually get 2 different bibs. So you get those. In addition to that, you also get your race shirts. So for our 5K, we've got Cars themed. It was the Cars 5K. Really, really cool shirt. That's probably my favorite one of the 4 shirts. For the 10K, it's the one that I'm wearing right now with Mike and Sully there. It was the Monsters 10K. And then for the 10 miler, it was the Toy Story 10 miler. And then for doing all 3 races, you got this Springtime Surprise Challenge, which was Finding Nemo themed. So we got Dory and Nemo on there. So those are our 3 shirts. In addition to that, during the Expo, you do have the opportunity to go through and buy some merchandise. I did buy some merchandise, and I feel like every time we talk about these things, a lot of people are always asking me which merchandise there was. Why was it called that? Was there surprises? So the reason it is called that is because every single year it's a surprise on what the theme's going to be. So the Springtime Surprise one came about last year, was the first year, and the first surprise was the fact that the 5K was Expedition Everest, the 10K was the Race to the Taste 10K, and then the 10 miler was the Tower of Terror 10 miler. They were all retired races. Same thing for this one. These were all retired races. It was actually one of the themes for Disneyland, not Disney World, but Disneyland used to have Pixar themed races, which were part of the Disneyland Half Marathon weekend. So the surprise is you don't know what the theme's going to be. It's always going to be a different theme every single year. So my guess is sometime in the near future, we're going to have a Star Wars themed race, because they used to have Star Wars themed races on both coasts. And then they got rid of it once COVID hit. So that's the surprise. The surprise is you don't really know what the thing's going to be. And they say there's some prizes on the course, but they're mainly just characters. So at the merchandise location, I bought 4 items. I bought this hat right here, the Run Disney Springtime Surprise Weekend to Pixar and Beyond 2023 Walt Disney World. It's a running hat, so it's a very lightweight hat. It breathes very, very easily, and it's by Nike. It's not really important, but it is. In addition to that, during the races, I'm usually drinking out of my Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend race thing. This was from this past Wine and Dine. This is a Corksicle, and I absolutely love these Corksicle bottles. And I bought another one for this weekend because I really liked the characters on it. So we got Mike and Sully, Woody and Bo Peep, Lightning McQueen and Sally, and then Dory along with Nemo there, and then the race weekend thing at the bottom there as well. In addition to that, the one thing that I have been making sure that I get every single race weekend now, it's now become a tradition of mine to purchase while I'm there, and I've not taken it out of the thing yet, but they have these ornaments that are shaped like running shoes, and these are Christmas ornaments, so they actually have like a little ribbon at the top there, so you can put it on your Christmas tree. My entire tree is like filled with these things. It started about 3 or 4 years ago where all of a sudden they started selling these. And at first they were just generic ones where it was like Run Disney. I was like, oh yeah, it's like Run Disney 2018. So I got the Run Disney 2018. And then eventually they got smart and were like, hey, if we make it so every single race weekend we have a specifically themed Run Disney race Christmas ornament, more and more people will probably buy it. So naturally, they were right, because I have been purchasing every single time. So in addition to those three, there are also very special merchandise things that are so exclusive. I literally have one of 6 of this specific type, but there are several. I'm trying to think how many it would be. It'd be 2, 4, 6, 12, 36, 72 of these. So there are 72 different items there, but they all have different kind of themes to it. I have one of 6 of them. But when you're actually at the merchandise locations above the specific areas, so for instance, this one was for the whole weekend. So up above it, it would have little, giant banners that say Springtime Surprise Weekend. If you got something that was specifically for the Tower of Terror 10 miler, above it would say Tower of Terror 10 miler, and it would have like a picture of Woody, or it would have a picture of Buzz Lightyear or whatnot. So about a year ago, we realized that you can actually purchase these things, but not the first day. You can actually purchase it the second day. So after the 5K, you can go over there and you can purchase it. So they start selling them at noon. So it's now become our tradition after the day of the 5K. We'll usually go over there and see if there's any of the ones we like for sale. And there was one that I really liked, and I said, if it's still around tomorrow when we go to the expo again, I will purchase it. And I got it. So here it is. So this is what was on the merchandise rack above hand. Is that all on there? I think it's all on there. I'm like lean way off screen right now, but I think it's all on there. So this would be above the thing, but first off, I love yellow. Yellow is my favorite color. So that's on there. And then it's got all the different characters that are represented there. So overall, I think it's really cool. I can see some people who are like, I don't know about that, but I think they're pretty cool. So I've gotten 2 so far. Last one was actually last year during the Springtime Surprise Weekend. I'm probably going to have it so I only get 1 a year. And that's it. I know some people who've got like 20. But I'm only going to do 1 a year. That's my limit for now. Unless I get a bigger condo. Oh, look, someone just literally said, you're going to need a bigger condo. So let's get to the actual races. So the races were, I'm trying to get my, there we go. Okay. So let's go through. We're going to go through and talk about all the different characters. How many Pixar characters are out? We'll get to that in just a second here. So the first race of the weekend was the 5K. Now the 5K course, let's do a quick recap here of how the 5K course works. So you start inside of the Epcot parking lot. You make your way around the parking lot. You eventually enter into backstage, kind of near Test Track. You go underneath Test Track, and then you take a right over by Mexico. You run around all of World Showcase. You exit out over by International Gateway. You go around the Skyliner. Then you enter back in right by the UK Pavilion. So you're barely out of the park. After you enter into the UK Pavilion, you take a left. You continue going down towards the center area between World Showcase and Future World. You take a right at the Creation Shop. You go past Mission Space. You take a right there. You go by Tower of Terror, or not Tower of Terror, by Test Track. You take a left. You go backstage. You take a left, and you're backstage going underneath Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you take a right back into the parking lot, and that is where you finish. Once you finish, you get this nifty 5K medal. So Cars 5K, we got Mater in the middle there, but if you don't like Mater, you can switch it around to Lightning McQueen as well. On the back there, we do have it so where it says Walt Disney World. I do like how it's shaped like a gear. I think that's pretty cool with it. So that's our 5K medal. Let's go to our characters that you can meet on the course during the 5K. Now, since this is a Pixar-themed race, they have it so all the characters mainly were Pixar-themed characters. Oh, I hit the wrong button there. This is that. Aha. Actually, before we even get into the 5K, so during the expo, they'll also have it so you can meet different characters there as well. So during the expo, I met George Sanderson from Monsters, Inc. And on his back, they did have a 2319, aka a sock. So George Sanderson was the person, the monster during Monsters Inc., who had the stock on the back, and they're like, we have a 23.19. In addition to that, if you're part of Club Run Disney, I'm not part of Club Run Disney. My friend Frank is part of Club Run Disney, and he was up in the Club Run Disney lounge because they have their own special lounge. And while he was up there, they have a character meet and greet up there of Nemo. And he asked the person, he's like, my friend is a huge character fan. Is there any way that we can have it so he comes up here and meets Nemo? And they said yes. So there is Nemo. So we got to go up there and meet Nemo as well. Aww. But that's going to bring us to our 5K race. Now, so how the 5K race works, or actually all these races work, is in the parking lot before and after the race, and actually during the race too. So if you're a spectator and you just want to, actually, even if you're not a spectator and you just want to meet some rare characters, you can go over to the Epcot parking lot like while the race is being ran, and you can actually meet some very rare characters that a lot of people wouldn't actually meet. So starting us off in the Epcot parking lot, we had Bo Peep. This is taken after the race. You can see the medals on around my neck there. In addition to Bo Peep, we also had Wally. Wally did move. He did make noises. He didn't roll, but he was always, he could move around a little bit. We also had Mater. And our final character that was in that parking lot that day was, this is one I was really excited about, Needleman from Monsters, Inc. Again, this is from after the race. So, yeah, so those are the characters that you can meet before the race or during the race or after the race. But during the race itself, the first character we met was Edna Mode from The Incredibles. She was over in the Germany pavilion. After meeting Edna Mode, our next character was over at the American Adventure Pavilion. It was Jessie from the Toy Story films. Toy Story 2 is where she made her debut. And then we had Doug and Russell from Up. And for those of you guys wondering, that's my friend Frank. Frank and I have been doing all the races together for years now. And then after Doug and Russell, we had Sadness. And actually, before Sadness, we had the coolest character that I freaked out by. This was probably the highlight of the entire weekend because I've never met this character. Actually, there were a total of, I think, 4 characters that I had never met this weekend. And all 4 of them I was like freaking out about. But this one is Slim from A Bug's Life. Look how big he is. Like, look. And he was moving around and stuff. Look how big he is compared to me. So those are all of our characters during the 5K. Like I said, after you finish the 5K, you go through and you get the Cars 5K medal. One thing that did surprise me about the Cars 5K was I was expecting a few more characters from Cars, like Lightning McQueen. So I was a little disappointed that we didn't see Lightning McQueen, but at the same time, I was very happy with the characters that we did see. Since it is all completely Pixar themed, I was like, oh, we're going to have a lot of Pixar characters throughout this week. And that made me extremely excited because I do love Pixar and I love the fact that there are a lot of rare characters out there for Pixar. So let's go to the 10K, which was Saturday. Oh, wait, we got some questions. If you guys have any questions, throw the questions in the comments below. Or if your comments aren't working, send me a private message on Instagram or Facebook. And we'll figure it out from there. Okay, so the question is, I want to do the 5K, but it's gone in seconds. Any tips to get in? So the biggest tip I can give you is make sure that you're on before 10 o'clock. So the registration always starts at 10 o'clock Eastern time. I highly, highly, highly recommend not getting on until, or making sure that you're on before that. I'm usually on at like 9:45. So if you're not on right away, if you get on at 10:01, or if you get on at 10 o'clock in 1 second, everyone who's been logged on since before 10 is automatically in line before you. So what they do is do you hear that? That's my neighbors upstairs. So what happens at 10 o'clock on the dot, everyone who's already sitting there on the website is all mumbled together, and you're pretty much put into a virtual queue, but completely random. So it's kind of like a lottery system where you don't exactly know which spot you're going to be thrown into. You might be the first spot, you might be the last spot, but if you're not on before 10 o'clock and 1 second, then you're guaranteed to be someplace in the front of the line. But if you're there at 10:00 and 1 second, all of those people who are on at 10 o'clock are ahead of you in line. So there's a high chance that you probably won't be getting on, and those people will be getting in. Or maybe they won't be getting in, but they have a higher chance of getting in than you. So that's my biggest advice. Make sure that you're on before that. I make sure that I'm on, like I said, like 9:45 at the latest. Like not even at the earliest, at the latest. I'm making sure that I'm on that website at 9:45, because as soon as it pops up, it refreshes itself, and then you can join the virtual queue. And sometimes it even opens up a little early, but it doesn't put you into that thing until later on. Okay, so the 10K. So the 10K, you start off in the Epcot parking lot as well. But this time we did a little bit different course than we're used to. I really enjoyed it. So you start off and you exit through the little spot where you pay your I can't even think what it's called. I call it by the right name all the time, and now I don't know. But where you pay for parking, you go through there, the Auto Plaza. So you go through the Auto Plaza, like where it says Epcot at the top, and you go down until the first spot where you can do a U-turn. You U-turn there, and you continue going down until you get to the next spot. You can do a U-turn. You U-turn there, and then you're on the ramp that takes you over the spot that you just ran under, and then you go over by the Epcot parking lot buses. You go through the bus spot, and then you go enter backstage over by the back of the Seas with Nemo and Friends. You run behind the Seas with Nemo and Friends. You run behind the Land Pavilion, and then eventually you make your way over by Journey into Imagination, where you get on stage. If you're like me, this is where you stop to go to the bathroom, because it's the first like real bathroom that you've had in hours. So I usually go to the bathroom there. So you go to the bathroom there, and then you continue going on. You hook a right, and you go up towards World Showcase, and you go past the Canada Pavilion, and then you go over by between Canada and UK. You go backstage, and you exit over by the Skyliner. You take a right, you go past Yacht Club and Beach Club, you go past Swan and Dolphin, you go past the boardwalk, you make your way back around over by the Skyliner, and you go back into Epcot at International Gateway. You take a right, you go past France, etc., etc., etc. Except for this time, you're actually going backstage of France over by the Remy attraction, and you go backstage there, and then you go back into the park over by Morocco. You continue going around World Showcase until eventually, after you go past Mexico, you get into that central area again. You go down there, you take a right at Connections, you take a right at Mission Space, you take a left at Test Track, you go backstage, and eventually make it your way to the parking lot. Okay. First off, before we get into the characters, let's show off the medal here. So the medal for this one is the door from, well, it's not the actual door from Monsters, Inc. That's animated. In the middle of the flower here, we do have a hidden Mickey, which I do appreciate. But we do have it. So the Disney Pixar Monsters 10K. And then if you open up the door, we've got Mike and Sully inside. Ooh. Overall, really, really like this medal. So let's talk about the characters that you can meet on the 10K course. Now, before I forget, there was one character that was on the course which blew my mind. I had them on video, but they weren't doing meet and greets. But it's Four Town from Turning Red. Remember, like the band that they're all like freaking out about in the film Turning Red. So if you watch my YouTube video, you'll see us going past a band in the Canada Pavilion, and it's a group of 5 guys, and they're singing. That's actually Four Town. I was kind of freaking out about it, but I was like, it didn't truly hit me until like later on. I was like, wait a minute, that was Four Town. So I think overall, really cool addition to have Four Town there, because they've never made any types of character appearances before. So moving on to our characters that you can actually meet inside of that area. Oh, side note, after the 5K, we went back to the expo, and Bullseye was there. Just to add to my character count. Bullseye and Woody were switching out. So my assumption was that Woody would eventually make his way to one of the races, and luckily I was right. Otherwise, I would have been really kicking myself that we did not see him. So the very first character that we had during the 5K was Merida from Brave. Also, another tip that I have, if you're doing one of these races, especially the 10K or the half marathon or the full marathon, typically when you're going into the parking lot, you're passing some of the spots where you can actually meet the characters. So when we were entering into Epcot that morning for the 10K, I saw the setup with the, if you look behind me, you can see the archery, the target. And immediately I was like, okay, this is where Merida's going to meet. And we had not met Merida yet that weekend. And I wasn't sure if she was going to be at the 10 miler. So I was like, we have to get to that line as quickly as possible. So literally when the race started, that was probably about half a mile in, I went all out just so I could get in that line before the line got absolutely insane. Because these lines will get really crazy. And a lot of people I've talked to have asked me about the character lines and how long they get. So for instance, on the 10 miler, we'll get to it, but Sarge, I had like 5 people ahead of me in line for Sarge. And then characters like we had Ian and Barley from Onward, which we're going to get to as well for the 10 miler. For those characters, it was like 40 to 50 people who were ahead of me. So the character lines do go pretty quickly as long as everyone's doing as long as you're not having a conversation with the characters. If you watch my videos about these things, you'll usually see me like say, I usually say the same thing. I'm like, hey, Woody, how you doing? And he never answers. But I usually run up, get the picture, and then you go. And that's just kind of like the running etiquette for these race weekends that not everyone follows, but a lot of people do follow. But anyways, so Merida was our first character. Then our next character on the 10K was Mickey Mouse, dressed in a very dapper thing. I don't know what's going on with Frank in that picture. He looks very ghostly. But there's Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse would have been our first character that we had throughout the weekend so far that was not a Pixar character. My prediction at this point was, well, we're probably going to have mainly just Pixar characters, with the exception of like Mickey and the gang. Boy, was I wrong, and we'll get to it. Our next character that we had was Carl Fredricksen from the movie Up. He was going to be right around the corner from the 2 mile marker. And then our next character, I'm trying to find my characters in order here. There we go. Our next character was Woody. Ooh, Matt, that's a great question. We're going to be answering that question in just a minute here because I have a theory. I could be wrong about this theory, but I've got a very, very strong theory, and we're going to be talking about it in just actually literally within the next 2 minutes as soon as we get to that character spot. Okay, after Woody, I'm losing direction of which characters was next. Oh, next was Frozone. But this is the picture they took. Like they cut off part of his head, and they got like a lot of my legs, and it's like, no, I want an all Frozone, man. So we had Frozone there. Frank's not in that picture because so I was running ahead and getting to the character lines, and then Frank would catch up to me while I was in the character lines. And while we were in the line for Woody, I said, here's my plan. I said, I'm going to run ahead to the next character, or if there's a bathroom, I'm going to stop at the bathroom, and then I'll continue running. And so I stopped at the bathroom over by Figment. And when I stopped for the bathroom, I guess the way that I said it to Frank, he misunderstood, or maybe I just misspoke. And he thought he would like I would be meeting him at the bathroom. So all of a sudden I get a call from him, and I'm literally like 3 people away from Frozen. I was like, where are you at? And he's like, I'm waiting for you outside the bathroom. I was like, well, no, I'm in line for Frozen. So he eventually caught back up, thankfully. Then we had Pluto. Again, going with our idea that we've got the characters that are both Pixar and non-Pixar. Then we had Minnie Mouse. She was over by the boardwalk. She probably had one of the longest lines of the weekend. Not the longest line, but she probably had maybe our second or their longest line that we had for the weekend. And then we entered back into Epcot. We had Chip and Dale over there. They were up by the UK pavilion. And then this is where things get weird. Wait. Okay. And then after that, we had Remy. So there are 2 characters that we did not meet this weekend. We met every character that was possible for us, but Remy was also switching out with Emil. So when we got in this line, Emil was there, and then Remy was the one who we actually met. Same thing with Sadness during the 5K. We met Sadness, but Joy and her were switching out. So it was either we could go back in line and wait for 15, 20 minutes until they swapped out again, or we just say, we kept on saying, hopefully the other 2 characters are going to pop up later on the race weekends. And unfortunately, they never did. So out of the 46 possible characters, we met a total of 44. So not bad. I will gladly take a total of 44. But here's where things get weird. So going by Italy, Pinocchio is there. Now, if you've paid attention so far, you may have noticed that we have had literally all Pixar characters and all Mickey and Friend characters, but no classic Disney characters that are not Mickey and Friends. So here is my theory going along with Matt asking about Luca. I have heard that there is a chance that the Luca characters, Luca and Alberto, might be making appearances sometime in the near future. I was thinking that there is a high chance they could have appeared this weekend. And I'm wondering if maybe they were scheduled to be there this week, or maybe just Luca was scheduled to be there this weekend. And then something happened and they couldn't, but they already had like everything set up. And they were like, you know what? We'll just throw another Italian character out there. And that's how we got Pinocchio. That's my theory. I could be 1,000,000% wrong. But that's my theory and I'm sticking with it. I think it's a good theory. Okay, so that was our 10K on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we had our 10-miler course. Now, if you've never done these races before, so it's usually a 5K, 10K and half, or 5K, 10K half and full, with the half being 13.1 miles and the full being 26.2 miles. So we have a 10-miler came around because last year they reintroduced the Tower of Terror 10-miler, which disappeared forever, or so we thought back in 2014. So with these brand new characters, with these brand new races for the Springtime Surprise, they decided that if you add 10 plus the 10K, which is 6.2, plus a 5K, which is 3.1, it equals 19.3, which is what the usual challenge is between a half marathon and the 10K. So that's why they made this whole entire thing a challenge. So this year around, they decided to have it so, again, we would have it so we'd go through. Oh, did I do the characters in the parking lot? No, I didn't. Wait. So before we get there. So the second day in the parking lot, we had Jessie was doing meet and greets in the Toy Story spot. We had already met her. Mater was doing spots where he was the day before, so we had already met him. And Wally was there doing character meet and greets, so we had met him already. So the only one that we had not met was Mike and Sully. So we went over and we met Mike and Sully. Any questions about anything yet? Keep on throwing questions to the comments below. We will answer as many questions as possible. Okay, so for the 10-miler, so the course is my favorite course, I think, that Run Disney does. Like, without a doubt. And I was saying this to some people, and they were like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I think it's just such a great course. And then afterwards, Frank and I were actually analyzing the course on why we both love it so much. And I think we kind of came down to the same conclusion on why it's great. Now, I will put out there that I think the course for the half marathon during the Princess Half Marathon weekend and the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend is one of the good courses because you get to run through the castle. It's 2 of 3 races you get to run through the castle, the other one being the full marathon. I really like the fact that you run through that, but when you run back to Epcot, it's like the worst run of your life because you're literally just running on the expressway and it's just going and going and going. There's absolutely nothing going on, and I just absolutely hate it so much because there's no variety. It's just one long road that goes on forever. And it's just, for me, I've never really liked the course, mainly due to the fact that you do that. I love running through Magic Kingdom. I think that's a highlight. But after that, it's like, oh, why am I doing this right now? So for this one, there's a lot of park, and there's some road, about a little less than half of it's on the road. but the road part has a good variety, and I'll explain as we go through here. So for this one, you start off again in the Epcot parking lot. You run around the Epcot parking lot. Again, you enter through backstage over by Test Track. You go underneath Test Track. You go to the right over by Mexico, and then you go around World Showcase. Eventually, when you get to the end of World Showcase over by International Gateway, you go through International Gateway, you take a left, and you go down the boardwalk until eventually you take a left again, and you go down that pathway that goes between the boardwalk and Disney's Hollywood Studios. You enter into Disney's Hollywood Studios from backstage over by Oscars, and when you go down, you take a right onto Hollywood Boulevard, you take a left onto Echo Lake, you go around Echo Lake until eventually you take a left and go past Star Tours, and then past Muppet Vision, and then past Galaxy's Edge. You go through Galaxy's Edge, and then into Toy Story Land. After you go through Toy Story Land, you take a right. Well, you take a left after you get through Toy Story Land, and then you go through the archway that says Disney Hollywood Studios. You go in front of the, I was going to say the Ground China Theater, which it is. I was actually going to say Great Movie right originally. And then you take a left down Sunset Boulevard, and you take a right over by Tower of Terror until eventually you go through Fantasmic area. After you go through Fantasmic area, you exit backstage of Tower of Terror, and then you go onto the road that's out back that way. I can't think of the road's name exactly right off now at the top of my head, but I've rattled off a lot of information over the last few seconds, so hopefully we're good with it. You continue going down, you do a loop onto World Drive, and then you just go 1 mile down, and then you do another loop onto Epcot Boulevard. Now, here's the thing that I really like about this, is unlike the other races where you're on this road forever and ever and ever, and you're just going straight, I like the fact that you're going on an off-ramp, and then you're going down only a mile, and then you're going on another off-ramp, and then you're going another mile, and then you're doing a U-turn. So there's a lot of different variety to kind of balance everything out, opposed to just being like, okay, let's just run straight for 7 miles, because it's not that much fun running straight for 7 miles. But if you have a little bit of variety on things that you're doing and doing things that you're seeing, I really like that compared to other things. Anyways, so eventually you make your way around, you turn, you go past the Epcot bus loop, you enter backstage once again over by Journey to Imagination with Figment, you go up to World Showcase. However, you don't go into World Showcase, you take a left, and then you go down that center bridge area again. Eventually you take a right at Connections, take a right at Mission Space, take a left at Test Track. You're going backstage, going under Guardians of the Galaxy, you take a right, and then you end up in the Epcot parking lot. Whew, and that's the finish line. So after you finish all of that, you get our medal, which is the Toy Story 10-miler medal. Now, really cool thing about this one is the little green aliens do spin around, and spin around. For doing all 3 races, you do get your challenge medal as well. The challenge medal was Finding Nemo themed, and I think it's a really cool challenge medal. So here we've got, up at the top here, it says Springtime Surprise Challenge. There we got, it says 2023 with Crush, Nemo, and Dory there. But then, in case you want everyone to know whose medal it is, you can just, flip around this middle part. Mine, within 19.3 miles. Oh, yeah, let's do a character roll call here. Let's start off with the characters that are in the parking lot, because I don't want to forget anyone this time. So again, in the parking lot, we do have, again, Wall-E there. In the Monsters, Inc. section, they had George Sanderson, who we met at the expo. And then once again, we had Mater there as well. So not a lot of changes there. However, we did have our big 2 there, which would be Woody and Buzz Lightyear, who, of course, it was the Toy Story 10-miler. So I waited for about 45 minutes for these 2 characters. Worth it. All right, so going through the actual course, I'm trying to think of who we met first. So we go around. Oh, yeah. So right before mile 1, we had Lotso. All these characters, or all my pictures, are a little out of order because Frank was just kind of sending them to me when we would remember to have him when we would have him remember to send it to me. So sometimes it would be like 2 or 3 character spots, and we're like, oh, like send over the pictures, and they would come out of order. So we had Lotso was the first character that we would meet there, and then our next character was right after we entered into Epcot. We had Miguel over at the Mexico Pavilion, which I did say after the 5K. I said, I'm surprised they didn't have Miguel at the Mexico Pavilion, and then it kind of made sense that, hey, they're going to bring him up for one of the other weekends. So after we met Miguel and you do the long run, we passed Carl Fredrickson, we passed Russell and Doug because we'd already met them. We had passed W.E.D.nesday. So we went a long time without seeing any characters. And then right before we actually got into Epcot, we had Daisy Duck there. Now, Daisy Duck was there with Donald Duck, but then Donald Duck left right before we got the picture. And then when my friend said the same thing happened with her, except for the opposite. She was there, and then Daisy left, and Donald was who she got. After we met them going through the park, it was a lot of different characters that we had already met throughout the weekend. Characters like Slim. Ed-Mode is actually inside the park now that I think about it. Ed-Mode, and I feel like there might have been one other character that we're running past in the park. And then eventually we saw Mickey and Minnie in front of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I've only seen these two in this character one time before, and that was, come on, focus on them. It's not focusing. And that was during the 10 miler last year. So a little bit different character outfits than what we're used to with Mickey and Minnie. Personally, I really enjoy them. Going down down Sunset Boulevard, we had our next two characters, which were Mr. and Mrs. Incredible from the movie The Incredibles. And then when you go backstage over by Tower of Terror, we had our next character, which would have been Flick from A Bug's Life. And actually, when we were getting ready for the 10 miler, we were making our predictions on which characters we're going to see during the 10 miler. And we said, okay, these are the characters we've not seen yet. And these are the characters we had seen. And I said, I guarantee we're going to see, I guarantee you we will see Flick. I guarantee you will see Ada. And Ada was the next character, also from A Bug's Life. If it focuses, maybe. It's waiting. There we go. All right. And then after Ada, you go around the road and Jesse was out again. And I was like, oh, I've already met Jesse. And then I saw a line and I thought it was a line for a bathroom. I am so glad it was not a line for a bathroom because I freaked out. This was one of the moments in the entire race weekend. I think it was probably my most shocked, the most genuinely like, oh, are you kidding me? My mouth dropped open. The character attendant said, do you know who these people are? And I said, yes, I know who they are. And it was none other than Ian and Barley Lightfoot from the movie Onward. Now, these two I've never seen ever in my life. They first made appearances for like a day. March 9th, I believe, was their first day. March 9th, 2010, the day before everything shut down. So we literally had them out for a day, and it was only at a special event. It wasn't even like we can go see them as regular guests. So I had never seen them before. I was ecstatic to actually be able to go out there and see Ian and Barley. But my favorite was when I'm there, I'm talking to the character attendant while Frank was catching up. And she's like, oh, you know who these characters? I was like, oh, yes. I was like, I love Onward. And she's like, most people have no idea who they're waiting for. And all of a sudden this one person comes up and they go, who's this character line for? And she goes, Ian and Barley Lightfoot. And they go, who? She goes, from the movie Onward. And she goes, what? And they go, the one where the dad dies. It's like, that's your movie description? The one where the dad dies is, and she's like, most people understand what I'm talking about after I say that. But fair enough. So after them going up the hill, we had Sarge there. Usually Sarge is there yelling at you, like legit, like I'm not even joking about that. Like usually he's there as like motivation. And if people stop and get pictures with him, he makes them do push-ups. And I was terrified because I can do like 2 push-ups and then I would probably die. So I was like terrified that he was going to make me do push-ups. But at the same time, Frank was far enough behind me that I was like, you know what, maybe I should just stop and meet him because I have not met Sarge during these races for a long, long time. So I met him. So after him, we had at Chippendale. We're right before mile 8, I want to say. Yeah, mile 8. I'm almost positive. They were different outfits than they were the day before when we met them. Otherwise, I went to met them. If they're in the same outfit, multiple days, then I'm like, oh, okay, I can skip them now. But if they're in a different outfit, then I can meet them again. Same thing for Goofy. There's Goofy in a tuxedo. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I shared the picture of Goofy the day before. And now that I think about it, do I even have the picture of Goofy from the day before? No, Frank. Oh, wait. No, there he is. There's Goofy the day before. I did not share him earlier. And then after Goofy, I want to say Goofy might have been the last character, because after Goofy, there was Frozone, who we'd met before. There was Bo Peep, who we met before. After entering into the park, they do have a statue of Figment, so I figured I might as well. And I was very, very happy with myself, because I was telling Frank this story, and I think it is actually pretty funny. So the whole race weekend, for the whole 19.3 miles, unless I was in a character line or unless I was stopping at one of the water stops, I was running. And I was very proud of myself because I ran the entire thing. But less than a mile to go. You're running through Epcot, running down towards Connections, literally like 0.7 miles to go, because they have the 15K mark. So it's literally 9.3 miles. And I'm there, and they've got different music overhead. So it's always like, like for this weekend, it was all Pixar music while you're running through. So they had Pixar music playing, and they had a different rendition of You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story that I've never heard before. And they're going through, and one of the lines they said was like a little bit different of like the, we'll see it through the You've Got a Friend. But it said something down the lines of like, I'll never leave you forever and ever, or something. I don't know. It was worded in a way I've never heard it before during the song. And all of a sudden, I felt like the worst friend in the entire world, because I knew Frank was like half a mile behind me. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I've left my friend. I've left my running friend. Oh, we've done everything together this weekend, and now I've just up and left him. So I got backstage, and at that point, it's about 0.5 miles left. And I said, I'm going to walk for 2 minutes, and I'm just going to kind of keep on looking back. And if Frank catches up, we'll finish together, because this song has made me feel really guilty. But if he doesn't catch up within 2 minutes, I'm going to run for it. So the only 2 minutes that I ran walked the entire weekend was on that stretch, waiting for Frank, because You've Got a Friend in Me made me feel extremely guilty for abandoning my friend. And he never caught up. So I ran ahead, and I beat him. The day is mine. So yeah, that is our weekend. That was our Springtime Surprise Weekend 2023. Overall, last year, if you would ask me what my favorite weekend was, I would say Springtime Surprise Weekend was my favorite race weekend of all of the 2021 to 2022 weekend series. This year, I think it still might be this one. And I think that I've been trying to figure out why I like this race weekend so much. And I think, okay, so the marathon weekend, I think it's a great weekend, because it's like the most epic of all of them. It's like the Super Bowl of Run Disney race weekends, where you've got anyone and everyone, from people who are doing their first 5K to people who are conquering the Dopey Challenge for the first time, to anyone and everyone between. It's a massive weekend. It's got this amazing energy about it, which I absolutely love. But there's so many people. It's so chaotic. But it's a really fun weekend. I really like Marathon Weekend, and I like Wine and Dine, because Wine and Dine has like the exciting, like back to school feel, like, like your first race weekend for the last 7 months. And then for Princess, I like the Princess weekend. It's not out of all of them, it's my least favorite weekend. I'm not gonna lie, it's my least favorite weekend. But it's not that I don't like it. I still enjoy it. And there was one weekend a few years ago where I said, you know what, I'm not going to run Princess this year. I've done Princess the last few years. I'm going to take a break. And everywhere I went that weekend, I see people with their medals, and all I could think was, why did I not do this weekend? And I think it would be different if I didn't live here, because I wouldn't see the people walking around with the medals. But the fact that I live here and I get to see these people walking around with their medals, it made me so jealous. I was like, oh. But Springtime Surprise Weekend, I feel like it's a more relaxed feeling. You don't feel like the stakes are as high, and I think maybe that's because it's the longest length is a 10-mile run. Plus, I think the 10-mile run's a lot of fun. I don't know. This was the second year that they've done the Springtime Surprise Weekend, and there's just something about it that I really like, and I can't really put a finger on why I love it so much, but I do. I love it. Okay, let's go through some of the questions here. How many No Way Jose's were consumed last weekend? Just one. I almost had two. I'm not gonna lie. We had a great time during the we always get a No Way Jose, or we stop at Beaches and Cream. I always get a No Way Jose. Frank doesn't. On the day before the 5K. And so we were there, and on one table we had a mom and her son, and we were talking to them about the races. They had never done them before. And then on the other side we had two girls who the one had done, I think she said this was her third, maybe second Run Disney Week, and the other girl said it was her first 5K ever. So like it was fun kind of going through and talking to them. But while we were sitting there talking to all of them, the waiter's kind of joking around about us, and actually it's funny because the one waiter actually came over and he's like, "Oh, it's a race weekend. Are you guys getting your No Way Jose's?" And I'm like, "Thanks, Brian." He wasn't even serving our table. He just came over to point out to us. But yeah, we only had one. But our waiter, his name was Oz. He was awesome. I really liked Oz. He said, he's like, "Do you want a second one?" And I was like this close to getting the second one, but I decided that I was going to be good and not die the next day, and I did not get one. Did it rain a lot? I heard a lot of squeaking shoes in your videos. So during the 5K, it rained from the starting line until Slim. So Slim was right after you get back into Epcot over at the UK Pavilion. And because of the rain, Slim's outfit, well, it's Slim. Slim's actually real. I'm sorry. Because of Slim and because he's a bug, he can't be around rain. So we had to wait in line for about 25 minutes until he actually came back out. Like we were making really tough decisions of, do we stay in this line because I've never met Slim before, or do we keep on going because maybe we have some other cool characters that are coming up? And so we were in line, and Frank even said, he's like, "How long do you want to wait in the line for?" And I said, "Let's wait another 10 minutes. And if he's not out in 10 minutes, we'll leave." And we waited for 13 minutes, I think it was, or maybe it was 12 minutes. And he came out. And I was like, thank God I did not stick to that 10-minute guideline. Otherwise, we would have missed him. Granted, we would have seen him during the 10-miler, but you don't know that at that point. So, and I asked the cast member, I said, "Is he going to be out again?" And he's like, "He should be." But I'm like, okay, well, if he's not out the rest of the weekend, I'm going to kick myself if I did not meet him. So, but yeah, it rained for most of the 5K, for the first half of the 5K, and then it kind of died down. So it was, the other races were not raining at least. So that was a plus. Don't you usually get the A corral? I usually get the A corral for the 5Ks and 10Ks. Sometimes for the half marathon, never for the full marathon. It all comes down to your placing. Now, the problem with this race weekend, this is the only thing that's kind of like, about the race weekend, is because it is all three races linked up together. They're going by your 10-mile proof of time instead of your 10K or 5K proof of time. So my 5K and 10K proof of time is good. It's good enough to put me in the A corral, while the 10-miler or half marathon, it's good, but it's not good enough to get me into the first corral. So it got me into the second corral, which is still, I will gladly take the second corral. I know there's a few characters, so I was like, oh, I could have had no line at all. But also thinking back about the 5K, I probably wouldn't have met Slim. So, but I might have met him during the other, because that line probably would have been a lot shorter. But that's besides the point. But yes, I'm usually an A if it's a 5K or 10K only. But when you batch all three together, then then I'm usually in B. There's A, B, C, D, and E all together. And also, for those of you who aren't familiar with corrals or about the run lingo, the corrals is just where you start. And the way that Run Disney does it is, if you're in the A corral, that doesn't mean you're in the first group. That just means you're in the first group. That makes no sense at all. But so A corral is all the fastest people. But if you get into the corral and you're 500 people back in the corral, you're probably not going to be let go with the first group of people because they do mini corrals inside the corral. So if you get into the corral right away, so we were getting into the corral right when they would open, so we'd be one of the first people out in our corrals. But for like the 10 miler, we were a little bit further back, so we were the third group in B that was released, but we're with the people who are at the same speed as us. Hopefully that makes sense. I think that makes sense. But at the same time, I can see people being very confused about what I'm talking about. But yeah, overall, really, really fun weekend. Any other questions out there before we wrap up this bad boy? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea. Maybe not. I don't think we have any other questions. I'm trying to think if there's any other question that I would ask. Oh, the non-run Disney question. When does the next one come out? I'm not sure. I just need more time. I did spend a little bit of time writing it last night. I just need more time. Granted, I have been off. Today was my 8th day off in a row because I took a lot of time off for the race weekend. I go back to work tomorrow, unfortunately. Usually I'm off on Thursdays, but I'm going back to work tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to it at all. But I just need more time because like this weekend was so preoccupied with running and racing and I knew a lot of people who were in town, and actually today I was with someone that I used to work with at Barnes & Noble up in Wisconsin 18 years ago. So yeah, so it all kind of, I just need more time. I really just need more time to spend getting things done, and especially for this book because it's a cruise line book. The problem is sometimes I'll come across things. I'm like, oh, I don't know the answer to this. And then I'm stuck like either trying to find pictures of it that I may have taken in the past or find videos where someone's just like doing a ship tour and like, oh, they didn't get a good enough clear. I've reached out to some cast members that are actually on the ships too, but they don't get internet all the time. So yeah, it's going to, we'll see. I want it out soon. I would love to do like a book release party on a cruise. I think that would be fun. But I just don't know when. So we'll keep on looking into it and try to figure it all out. Also, I have an idea. If you're down here and you have a GoPro, I have an idea for, I can't really go into too much detail about it, but for a video, but you need a GoPro. I can supply the memory card, but you need a GoPro and you need a friend. And I need multiple people. So let me know if you're interested in my very, very vague idea. I mean, I have a very concrete idea in my head, but the way I'm saying it is a very vague idea. So we'll figure it out. But we're going to wrap this up right here. I'm probably going to go back and do a little bit more writing, unless I've also been working on my my DeLorean Lego set too. So I'm actually very tempted to continue doing that too. When's the next crazy challenge? I have no idea, honestly. I had a really good idea, and I could not get around to filming it in time. Again, time has been a little bit of a pain lately, so I just need more time. So if you have an idea for me to get more time, or if you want to become a Patreon pal so I can get a little bit more time, go become a Patreon pal. All right, so we are going to wrap this up right here. As always, tonight's episode is sponsored by It's All About the I screwed that up so bad. It's all about the mouse travel jazz hands. Make sure you stop by. It's all about the mousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All their services are absolutely positively 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and from Screen Team, and invite anyone and everyone to join the group over on Facebook. Or if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe right now. Do it. It's like down someplace down here. I don't know. But subscribe. It really does help me. Also, thank you, everyone. As always, have a great night. And remember that anything can happen if you let it Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't stand this